Good evening, everyone. Let's get to this month's finance committee meeting of the Providence family. For the first item, to convene the meeting, called the meeting of order. We have a few quite detailed contract scheduled this evening. Hope today we get to it on time. So I'm going to move to the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to do that?
So moved.
I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
And the abstentions and the positions are ayes. So item number 3.0 and 3.1, we have the motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
So, and I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we move to item number 4.0. We have a little request this evening to move one of the contracts first because I was informed that the presenter is not feeling too good, that he would like to go first. Is that okay with everybody? Can we accommodate that? Thank you so much. So that item is actually supposed to be number 2, but it's not going to move me to number 1. So let's hear from the DMG group.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, School Board Member Aiken. Thank you for the time and opportunity to review this proposal tonight. The Breakthrough Results Program is designed on focus goals, rapid action cycles, progress monitoring, performance, coaching, and real-time professional development to empower schools, teachers, and students to achieve results. Currently, there are 6 schools using this program: 4 elementary schools, Bailey, Kennedy, Greasy, Green, and EQ. So tonight, we are actually here to ask for your consideration in extending these program designs to 2 additional high schools, Mount Pleasant and Central. So just to give you some background, the principal at EQ has been working directly with district management group in the Breakthrough Redesign program in order to design and monitor progress in school-wide improvement goals since mid-March. They are currently focusing on 4 breakthrough design teams: 1 ELA, 1 math, 1 for attendance, and the other 1 for credit recovery. I spoke to the principal last night. He's actually 100% recommends this program, and actually expressed his excitement to actually share this level of support and knowledge to other system schools. So in the short period of time, they have achieved great success. So part of the program actually is to review the baseline data from the students' current performance, set aggressive and achievable SMART goals, design meaningful ways to monitor performance on regular, in this case, weekly basis, and analyze data in real time to develop and implement the strategies to improve performance. Just to give you some examples, in math, they set up a target goal of 25 students to be proficiency in at least 2 of the critical mathematics standards. So far, 19 of the 25 students have already met the goal in this short period of time. From the ELI perspective, 6 students already have full proficiency levels in reading since only 4 weeks. Impressive level. 39 students that were on their attendance monitoring are actually have met their 85% or higher compared to last year. And lastly, 11 seniors have already completed credit recovery. There's 2 more on their original target. 1 is already in progress towards moving, and the other one they're working on current challenges. So these are some of the results shared by Principal Hilda from EQ. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oscar. we hope we get that. Have a question?
Yes, actually, I do. With regards to the notation on this contract that the work with the vendor was made to reduce the original price, how much actually was negotiated in that amount to reduce the contractual amount on this $300,000?
In the original plan, I'm not sure, I'll get back to you on that one.
My other question was related to the justification of the vendor. It states that the contract is an amendment from a similar but a different scope of work. That phrase, I find it rather contradictory. So could you please provide a little more specific examples of how so in the Breakthrough Results Program?
Yes, I can do that. So originally, this was originally targeted for what we call the group of accelerated schools, the schools that are actually on 40 or 2-star rating. So originally it was targeted to accelerate the student growth. Because we found it to be a very effective program and actually beneficial to older schools. It was actually proposed, a principal Torture actually was one of the original conversations that the executive, and he actually was interested in this level of work. So we included Central in Mount Pleasant. Central and Mount Pleasant are currently under the CSI status, so they are on different category schools. But we found that it could be a very beneficial level of work to really improve the students actually in accelerated growth.
Thank you.
If I may add, I'm excited that this is a help support as leaders in respect of this in opportunity to this kind of data analysis cycle that build capacity and that can be sustainable. Because what we expect is those consultants to work with a team of teachers as well as administrators to create those kind of dashboards, not just getting the data, but analyze what would be the response to that data so that we can increase performance. And they will train those folks to become leaders so that they can phase out. And the school will have this practice of data analysis and response to data so that they can improve it. That's the kind of support we want to have in schools where they can be self-sustaining and leading to high academic achievement.
So those are the similarities and the differences.
Yeah, and one of those folks were instructors at the public leadership education program at Harvard University. Happened to be one of my professors that I came in contact with. And I know the kind of work that they've done is designing systems, implementing systems, and teachers to get results. And I'm excited about these opportunities that we're offering to Mount Pleasant High School as an underperforming high school with 120 students, so that we can bring this performance to the level that is acceptable and help us to determine the actual level of this high school.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gordon. Thanks for the work you do. My concern about this contract. Today is May 11th. The school ends in about 30-something days. We are in this contract expanding to August. Can you explain the justification? So what is going to be done? I want to spend $150,000 because this closes. I believe this program ends. Correct me if I'm wrong. But in absence of that, I think adding this to schools at the last minute, why do we have to be in a rush to do that? Especially with this detailed analysis that this school has provided. So, can somebody explain to me why you need this for 35 days? Because day 11 to the end of the school time is just 10 something days. Just clarify.
Yeah, I can correct that. So the first cohort was schools, the program will end, last day of school. For this exchange, for this proposal, actually, this will take over for the summer until the beginning of the next school year. So it doesn't end in June. Actually, they will continue to work with school, leaders in their, instructional teams to build the capacity to start next year. It will continue throughout the summer.
To continue throughout the summer.
Correct.
Okay, because I'm just trying to look at it in May to August and 150,000, which spoken out this month.
And the reason why I added the question you asked is the $1,000,000 question. Do we want to get this program as students out in front of us, or do we want to get preparation right and coming in for the student? Because the teachers need to get the preparation to get this kind of data analysis mindset prior to instruction. So you want that to get now so that they can put it up. And over the summer, as we look at the curriculum and mapping the students who are coming from middle schools and those we have, so that when the kids are in front of them, this is when they want to execute. So that's why we think it's really right for harvesting that we have this particular program extending toward the fall, so that we can hit the ground. Too often, we get the flying fly and we try to do it. But now we're doing what the preparatory work that will ensure the success of this program. And that's why I'm excited it's happening this time. Because that's what I'm building my teachers.
And I quite get our analysis. If this program had been to start in June after the end of the school year, I will 100% agree that it's getting it ready for the students. There's no how we're not going to put them in front of the children, because now I put this program to them. If it is approved next week by at the regular school board, definitely work will start in earnest, right? And then school is still in session. So what I'm saying is that I wouldn't bother asking this question or having this concern if it was like, okay, at the end of the school year and getting ready for the next school year, it would make, I don't know if you get me right, but I hope that we have all everything like equal analyzed. I hope we have it ready. It's just like, these are questions that we want to ask, but it's a justification for, like, we have to rush into things. But if we want to do it, if it is because we don't want to do what students are in front of us, we want to do it also to the end of this session, and we'll have it this whole summer. So I'm just saying that we have a comprehensive result, because some of these schools have started before now. How are we going to catch up to make sure that they get the same quality of
And Mr. Chairman, it's also, in the case of Mr. Torchon, he's been there about a month now, so he's trying to get his systems in place. And Mr. DiMuccio is in the middle of a big turnaround job simple. He's looking to identify what he needs to really move forward. And I work with these guys are there very early morning, very night. And it's a great support for him. But maybe to bridge the gap, when we implement, we can bring school board members to see some of this work in action, see how it's sustainable, so we see, what the value is. I think it will be tremendous value, as Mr. Torchon says.
I mean, I'm just like, it's not, I don't have any doubt about the quality. It's just like I'm looking at the timing. And if this is like $5,000 contract, we won't have $150,000. We want to make sure that the reason for the finance committee and the school board is to make sure that for every dime that is spent, there is justification for it. So I wish us good for all of us. I need to get another question.
Yes. In regards to the justification of spending, systemize the school improvement efforts. Could you elaborate a little more about those particular efforts of improvement in this contract in that short time frame, please?
So, what I mean is, the school leader would work in collaboration with the principal to actually to identify the school goals that are aligned with their school improvement plan. So it will be in a very cohesive way, so that it will be aligned with the district strategic plan as well. To provide intense regular support to build leaders and teachers' capacity in a sustainable way, so that they can actually better support students. So if this is not like it's an ongoing process, in ongoing coaching cycles for process throughout the year, with the idea to increase the level of work and capacity in order to develop a more collaborative teaming approach throughout the buildings.
Thank you. I have no further questions, Chair.
So do we have a motion to recommend this for approval?
Actually, I think it's a great program. I'm going to make a move to postpone it for further review. Majority.
That might really set this work down, and this is, sorry.
I do wanna comment that part of the budget that actually is we're planning on using is redesigned, and this money will actually be expiring September. And will not be returning to us, so this is.
I wasn't aware of it. It wasn't noted on the contract. If that is the case, then we approve accordingly. Yes. Recommend approval.
I will support that. All in favor?
Aye.
So, thank you so much, and
Thank
sorry
you.
about that, we just have to make sure.
Okay,
So we're gonna move to get better discussion.
thank you for the question.
TMCP.
This is an extension of the contract that we have in place with TNTP. They're supporting us with our review teachers. So this year was the first year we worked with them. We built a summer intensive for our new teachers, and we also did monthly ongoing professional development. What we're looking to do this year is continue that monthly work and do the summer work for our new teachers, but also work with building the capacity of some of the other programs that we have in place to support our new teachers, so that we can build sustainability of this work that we've done with TNTP, so that we can continue on with that. Ideally, we can take more support.
Thank you so much. We have a question.
Is this contract part of the 9-day summer new teacher academy?
So last year we did do a 9-day program, and that was the initial work. Coming into this year, we are making that program mandatory. Last year it was voluntary. We had about 2/3 of the teachers show up, and the ones that didn't decided some work. They had to go into the area, giving more positions. This year, what we're doing is we're getting it down to a 4-day intensive. It is going to be a mandatory professional development obligation, and we are offering at 2 different times so that people can select, and we will have an asynchronous option as well that we're working on developing right now with teachers in conjunction with them.
So, thank you so much for that. My concern about this contract is this FY 23 or FY 24? It's not as 23. I think we're looking forward to it. I think it's on 9.
No, it should be.
So we need to make
We can correct that. Yep.
Alright, so you explain the reason of the extension, so that I think in the summary or somewhere, I read that you said the hospital is for not only new teachers, but people who are new to it. How do you want to achieve that?
So last year, we hired 234 new teachers. 112 of those teachers came in at step 1, which means that they have been to 0 experience in the teaching professions. We either came right out out of college as a teacher, or they come into an alternate pathway. So part of what we're doing with the new teacher intensive in the summers, we're differentiating the program that we're offering. So where we are offering some more like not some real foundational work for our teachers who need the profession. So they'll come in earlier and get that kind of knowledge that will kind of put them in the right space to be able to engage in the work with everybody else throughout the rest of the day. And when we do our monthly sessions going forward, those will be differentiated as well. It's a 2-hour session, that one will be both common learning, and then we will have provide sessions where we can work intensively with our teachers who are in the profession versus our work ethic teachers who are in the trial.
And that's very important because I know some people they get into the profession, they don't know where to sign up. This is how it is. I'm not for stuff like that. But programs let them know what it takes to be a teacher. Exactly. Do you have a question? Can we recommend it for us?
So,
Second that. In favor? Aye. And your position, I think it's going to find so what we do to get on, as a program.
Absolutely.
Moving on to Providence, that is for website.
I'm sorry to run the Director of Special Projects and Organizational Readiness. I want to present to the board to approve a contract with Harvard Graduate School of Education and Center for Education Policy Research in Coast Harvard for the hiring of 2 strategic data project fellows and nominating 2 current PPSC employees to replace at the fellowship. This is to support the data analysis, research, and program evaluation needs across the district. The total cost to PPSC for Harvard's performance of this responsibility is $190,000 for 2 years. The cost covers 2 STD fellows hired at $49,500 per STD fellows and 2 fellows nominated from PPSC go through the fellowship at $45,500 per fellow. The fellowship recruits and selects researchers and data strategists to act as data fellows. All fellows receive training and support designed to boost skills and knowledge in 3 key areas. First, measurement and analysis. Second, leadership and change management. And third, education policy in order to carry out the work of the agency. The turnaround action plan requires the district to build efficient district system and to hire world-class talent. In order to create a foundation for success, this is an opportunity to attract world-class talents with unique skill sets and also to offer a professional development to PPSC employees. Data flows will provide much needed data support and analysis to drive decision-making at the central office for school resources and at the school level to drive school improvement plans that leads to meeting tactical strategic initiatives and priorities. Harvard is a sole source partner for obtaining strategic data project fellows.
Thank you, sir.
we have, how will a partnership with the strategic data project be useful improving the data use for the district? Could you give specific examples?
Sure. So I'm going to give you an example. More than have a fellow that she's passing her second year of fellowship, and she's been very instrumental working on a project like the TOJ project. So some of these fellows can work on like very high stakes projects, and they can also support data analysis, program evaluation, research across the board.
So actually, not someone who I work with all the time, but this individual that sets up with us. One of our metrics within our own teacher attendance, right? Just manage teacher attendance can be really complicated in terms of all the different types of leave and it comes with older systems. But she's been instrumental in providing us that data in a clean data, but also in a meaningful way where it's actually going to be cool. And the metrics next, we actually see that it decreases in absenteeism because it allows us to both identify schools that are doing well and learn from it, but also, so it's even though it's data, it really ends up getting a lot of other departments that can see, some of the work that my departments.
Thank you so much. So we're gonna hire 4 members.
We're gonna hire two, and we're placing two from current employees to go to the function.
And this is, I like attention to details. I have this 3 years, it's in 2 years. So we can check on FY 23, FY 24, FY 25. At the bottom, we say it's 2 years.
The program is a 2-year program, but will go across 2 fiscal years. Look at this one.
And this does not tell us when the program is.
The program starts.
I'm reading, I'm telling you what I'm reading on this. This is something what has been done to give us, to make it easy for us to compare that to us. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So now we don't know when it was started. We only know it's a period of 2 years. And it's representing 3 fiscal years. It doesn't have a start date, it doesn't have an end date. So otherwise, with 30 days, contract summary is not doing it. And we have this budget. This is the second. The first one also has my phone. So, this Harvard program, they have, and we have samples of institutions that have done it before, and what's the success rate? These are the things we want to see when we're looking at, so that we can, okay, yeah, we have some track record. I know you mentioned DOJ, which is very, very important. I was going to ask my sister because how's DOJ moving?
Okay, sure. And I was going to add, if I may, that once we started working with a specific data fellow, the quality and the level of the reporting was just much, much better. And the DOJ has noted that our data has significantly improved after we started working with this fellow. So I do think that it would be a benefit, obviously not only to my department, but to the district as a whole.
I want to say that because we don't listen for quite a while. That's my question.
The other question I have is in regards to, is this contract, would you consider it an innovative tool to enable a hiring process to not only attract but retain the right type of talent?
Yes,
The
of
district?
course. So we are in a very competitive situation when it comes to hiring talent, specifically for specific, but very narrow skill sets. It's going to be a problem. So this is one way because Harvard is doing the hiring for us. So our HR doesn't need to spend all the time and money on government to hire these people. And actually, from the resource perspective, we may don't need to pay these fellows as much as you would pay if you were hiring like a very experienced person with the same skill set person. At the same time, we're trying to send 2 current employees on GPSC to go through tuition. So this is a professional development opportunity for people that are current.
So what about ultimate goal, like sending 200 employees that don't have to care much experience in the future? I understand that involved.
So depends on which perspective you're talking about. So the perspective from the data team definitely is to hire people, have people in the district who don't have to do a job at the world class level, right? And at the same time, we would like to be able to retain our current employees. The one way of retaining is, of course, providing capacity building that can be supported by the district for them to go through it, you may find more loyalty with the district to stay involved.
That's it. We have a motion to recommend this for positive. So moved and second. All in favor? Abstentions? Motion passed. Thank you so much. Moving to report here, Marcella.
Are you personal supervisor? The district and I have given to present a 1.6 million for social studies curriculum. This will take care of all of our core courses at the middle school level and all of our core courses at the high school level. In addition to that, it will provide brand new materials for all of our AP courses at the high school level, which is an area in our class that we're trying to take a lot of respect. And in addition to that, it will provide all of the content needed for all of our lessons, which includes our very brand new by the majority of our high schools.
Thank you.
Yes. So this is a study center contract. No.
One is looking for,
Give me a moment to review that.
yes. I remember we passed something on this in social studies. So why is this a new contract?
The new contract, this was done very differently. I unfortunately was not here during that time last summer. I think there could have been a lot of, misconceptions or areas that could have been addressed a little bit better. But I think it was in my absence. This was done very differently. I think one of the things that we did very differently this time around is we're very inclusive with looking at all of our vendors, including teachers, heads of departments, parents, school volunteers, and I think, and so I think that's one of the things that was done better. Actually, we learned from our experience. So there were specific reasons why that contract happened the way it occurred. I am happy to discuss. I feel like we should probably focus on current, and I'm happy to take questions.
Yes, it did. Thank you for elaborating on that. In regards to the accountability measures, it states with section B, troubleshooting and resolution of issues of the product and its functionality, preferably within a 24-hour period. Is that a 24-hour work period? Is it a Zoom clock? Or how, is it a business hour period? That's a question. How long will it take to resolve some technical issues?
I feel like it's a very technical question now that I have my.
I'm happy to speak to this because we've worked with studies for a while. They are incredibly responsive. Normally will get back to us or to teachers because they have a direct education. They're happy to support the proposed business as well. The latest that they respond.
So the 24-hour period is the actual clock. Right. Thank you.
Thank you for this supporting recommendations. Only that I see 1.6 million as the ask. There is 1.4 million.
So correct. So what we decided to do is we wanted to have a little bit of a cushion because what happens is we need to look at final numbers. And these numbers came out. We didn't want to be in a situation where we propose exactly what the cost is per current enrollment. We wanted to make sure that
contract was going to be a really complicated situation where we need to ask for more money. That's number one. And number two, we're also going through the process of customizing the curriculum. It is being aligned currently to brand new standards that was just released actually February 21st. It's very recently, new social studies standards. So what they're doing right now is they're pulling all of the resources together. We have large teams of people working so that they go by national standards. And so what we need to do is make sure they're fully aligned to our dialect standards. So that is a cost that's been estimated for us for the purpose of this meeting today. But it's not 100% final. Therefore, we wanted to have that added cushion so that we know for sure we'll be able to cover the cost. It's just the reason why we made not.
Can you please, help me here? I've never seen, something configure this situation. You can put a threshold that, okay, maximum being upset. But when we have this contract, one is saying 1.6, one is saying 1.4. Is that
I think the 1.6 is that threshold because, as in, like, we could spend up that because, like, she mentioned if we had to, if we put it the exact dollar figure by $100 more, that would be there. That would be what the request of like, so it was capture what we know.
I understand that I'm just looking at the financial implications of that. Having same contract that could potentially lead to contract. This has been 1.6 million, and we still has 1.6. We know we're not going to spend money in the pocket. We're not spending as desired. But this money will put
Absolutely, and I think we can probably work with that something that was satisfied. We can rework the wording so that we can stay up to 1.6
I'm not comfortable with that. I've seen that a lot of times. I would say not to exceed 1.6 million. So we know that we have everything covered. So if we don't spend up to that point, we spend up to that again. When we say 1.6 is top, then 1 million 4 point something. Not in only one spot. Contract. I've seen it twice or 3 times.
Understood.
That is. So please try to fix that up. All right. So we have a motion to recommend subject to the correction of
So moved with the correction.
and I support that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstention? Thank you so much. Moving to Mr. Lenny, to recommend. How are you?
Rebecca Costa, I'm the coordinator for world languages and biliteracy. And I'm here to put forth a request for a renewal of our contract with Visa Higher Learning for a total of, I have an exact number for it, $302,097 and very important, 35 cents. So that would be for world language textbooks and study licenses for students who go to practice. So the first year of implementation was this past year. That was our first time using this curriculum, and overwhelmingly, the world language teachers have been super supportive of this. They absolutely love it. So we use it for all students in French, Spanish, and Italian classes in 6th through 12th grade. And so they love it because it's very, very current. Like the copyright date is 2023, and so it has very current cultural items and things like that. So they love it for that, and they love it because it has a focus on proficiency in the language rather than being very grammar heavy and things like that. It focuses on being able to actually use the language in a functional situation, which I think is super important. We have a tap goal of having 30% of our graduating seniors attain the skill of biliteracy. And so I have already seen that this is effective with that because to get that skill of biliteracy, they pass a proficiency test where they do have to do these kinds of tasks that they're learning through this curriculum. And so we have 164 skills already attained by seniors, which is the highest ever in the history. So I'm super excited about that. So fantastic material. Fantastic.
Thank you so much. This is very exciting.
In regards to the site licenses, how many users per license, please? That license? It's per student. So, yep, so they have a license for the full year. have about 6,000 students that are enrolled in one.
My question, what languages, how do we determine what specific language is to be included in that language? What's the criteria for deciding which language to choose?
Teach or to provide materials for. So French, Spanish, Italian are the three most common, because they're the most prominent, especially in our community. At classical, we also teach Japanese and Latin. This particular company doesn't make materials for Japanese and Latin, we have to buy those separate. But yeah, we do it primarily based on what would be the most practical language.
So now, we don't have the yardstick that enable students to, like a survey that enable students to choose, okay, if they want this language. Because it will say that it's Spanish, these are the three major languages. Things are moving. It's not the same way you will continue to do these three languages. What about other languages?
Yeah.
On this board, we had a situation where it says something was included in 14 languages. Hard to project like that. What I'm saying in essence is that I think we should have a forum that allows the students, or maybe like a survey that allows them to say, okay, what kind of language do you want to learn? Arabic is a language, Swahili is a language, and we have a lot of minorities. This is to serve the minorities where a large proportion is minorities. So, I know Spanish is a minority language, but that's not the only minority language. So, can we develop a system that also recognizes other languages and have a basis of saying that, okay, if we don't meet this threshold, no, we're not going to do that. But once we meet this threshold, if we don't do this amount, is it possible? Can you just close that? This contract, this vendor does not have other language. So I think we need to look bigger and deeper and deeper for that to make sure that we are all inclusive so that everybody gets served.
So one thing that we do for the seal of biodiversity, we have already awarded the seal in 10 different languages. So we can proficiency test students in almost every language you can come up with. The other thing that we do sometimes for our students, like we have Afghani students that have come in speaking Pashto that need more English support, that don't necessarily need to be enrolled in a world language, but it is a graduation requirement that they have a language. And so what I'm able to do is proficiency test them in Pashto, and they can prove that they are proficient in their home language, and then that satisfies the world language requirement, and that frees their schedule up for more English classes. And so that's one way that we can be kind of accommodating. I would love to offer many more languages that they choose teachers. So we have a bill actually right now in the it's going through the Senate and the House right now, looking for scholarships to have more world language teachers, because the state now is moving towards a 2-year world language requirement. Providence has always had that, but now the state is going to have that as a graduation requirement. That will be brand new. And so the demand for world language teachers is going to be even more. And so we're kind of preemptively seeing that and going, okay, we need to make sure that we have a pipeline where we're creating teachers. And, there's so many native speakers of languages that could be teaching. They just aren't sure of how to get into that field. And so this bill that we're trying to get passed would help with that, to help them, get certified, get placed, things like that. So I would be all for that. EQ next year is potentially going to offer Portuguese. They have an ESL teacher there that is a native Portuguese speaker, and so have offered to offer us actually Portuguese and on a trial basis. We were going to do it at classical this year as well, but it didn't quite fit in the schedule this year, but hopefully for next year. So yeah, I'm always open. As many languages as we can get, I would be all for it.
Classical is Japanese, correct?
Classical is Japanese, yeah. There's Japanese and Latin. Yeah. That's great.
So 2 things I want to ask. When it comes to the Senate for the bill, can we
We just did it. It just happened on Tuesday.
Tuesday.
We just had our
right next to you.
Senator Providence.
That's coming here. And also in terms, I would like to talk to you more about those work languages because I've shared this with them like about some languages that we do. The response I got at that time is that so bring the curriculum. If you want to do something, bring the curriculum. I'm an African history, and that we have about in Africa we have like 500 different languages. We can't bring 500 languages in this country. We have to choose one. So we had a meeting, we had a session with the superintendent and the president of the school board at that time, African community. And one of the things that pushed for is that why don't we have African curriculum? And the response was, give me the curriculum. So I would like to work with you as a possibility. And hearing our Thank you so much. This is exciting time. We're really
Regarding the second language acquisition, would you consider this a symbol-based communication system as well? A symbol-based or like, sign language or that type of, those types of languages? No. No. So that's why it's only French, Spanish, Italian? So, questions?
should recommend this for passage the resolution. So I second that. All in favor? And so, now,
So we're using look at the graduate school counseling, soliciting, working with me, and we're getting reception of Navia, our schools, but Navia. Question more is that. Number six.
okay.
Please continue.
Go ahead.
So we're asking for renewal for 3 years in the amount of not to exceed $139,174.71. And that price includes the software, professional development, and supports from the Navigant team. While we're having students are required to have an individual learning plan, also known as an ILP. And the Navigant platform houses the ILP course. That's a student-directed planning and monitoring tool that supports goal setting, exploring colleges and careers, discover their strengths and their interests, and plan for post-secondary success. We've had the platform since 2020, and approximately 11,000 students have the individual learning plan. So all students in middle and high school. And they work on their Navigant's tasks and activities during advisory. Almost all teachers in secondary schools have an advisory period, usually once per week. And the counselors are a huge support in helping students to achieve these tasks as well and helping to support teachers. 2 of our top metrics are related to the ILPs, and one is that students are to access ILP a minimum of 2 times per year, and the other is to complete a post-secondary plan, which is in our high school graduation survey. And that graduation survey asks students many questions, but 2 in particular related to the top is what your first game plan after high school, college, military, and what supports do you need to achieve that plan? That's the top metric that we say, which meant the top metric, and we are on track to meet it again this year. Some of the highlights of the program is the platform itself translates into multiple languages. So it's not using Google Translate, it's within the platform. And that was part of that didn't happen 3 years ago, but until we created it, they made this families have access to the platform. We also, most of our high schools transfer electronic documents to colleges with transcripts and teacher applications. We're able to retrieve our national student clearinghouse data. So our college enrollment, right after high school, our persistence, and also our completion. So it tracks our alumni outcomes.
I was very pleased with this contract myself. I'm really glad that looks like you not only met, but you exceeded the TAP metrics with this program. So hats off to you. A quick question, what it says, you, progress, will review the check-in calls. What is that?
So we have a standard check-in form with the caveats every other week. And they are very responsive when I have an urgent matter. They respond within that day. And I have a direct line to the person that supports our district. So, you know, and then we have hired coordinators as a counselor at each of the schools that leads this for their school. And we have maybe every 6 weeks an ILP coordinator meeting, and I invite any representative from them to join the forum to address any issues that we're having to resolve them.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. My question is on the matrix. Matrix, you already explained it, so I don't like to ask the question you already asked. It's satisfying. So I'm just trying to find out. I'm asking the question. We got a motion to that on the explanation.
So,
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
So, second.
Good evening. My name is Rebecca Focus. I'm a supervisor of the district. I have primary service. It's okay. I'll do both.
Okay.
So, study right, so study sync is a product that provides for, like, virtual organizing 12 years intermediate contract renewal. For our second year, so it's contract for education.
the end of year usage reports. Are there reports coming in shorter intervals, or is it the end of the year?
No, we normally review quarterly, so there are two things we do. We usually report just to matter of time teachers spend on the platform, and then we also students see and assessments in which they are being assessed on the standards instructed on that unit. So we review those quarterly as well.
And in terms of the licensing, does that include digital student licensing versus?
Yes, so the site licenses, yep, the student platform is also a teacher component of that. The vendor also includes free, hard copies of the curriculum along with the site licenses.
Thank you so much. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
They are too.
That's our paid side. That's okay.
They are safe.
So I'll present that as well. So this, American Community Company Park is a contract, we will not to exceed $2,000 is eligible for the year. It's going to be out. We've done a pretty good with this personal call out to the recruitment capacity as instructional planners to create and develop tools to help teachers.
for, students who are dealing with success, and that's so far, I'm excited to do that operation. Partnership, and more
No, however, I did ask for prior contracts to review the initial agreement, and, unless I misread it, looked like it went through June 30th, 2021.
that was the first year.
Oh, okay.
But you get to a copy of this past year.
Oh, I appreciate that, yes. And then also in regards to, the accountability measure states informalized training. What does that mean exactly? I can't be more formalized.
Sure, so there are multiple forms of supported training at the American Reading Company, and that reserves for ISP district support. We do quarterly sessions with them, and we do as district leaders review our reports of progress, and then that trickles down into support for our admin as well, on the admin that we're seeing the implementation, and then that also goes to our coaches. And we have additional times with them too, for everyone to support and let them know how to do more. We have a structure of need with all those three levels of support is really good around speed work when it comes to.
So, thank you so much. So, it's 23-24, year 4, right?
Yes.
So, do we have any more years, or this is the last year?
So, the original RFP for literacy curriculum had several like year options that we could have to. I would have to double check to know how many year extensions there are. We can all do it.
Right, there's an master purchasing agreement with the state, so it doesn't have, it's already been out. We can look at that. Is that okay?
Oh, it's still good. Because I know the contract, I know this ARC, I'm familiar with it. I'm not thinking that I want to have 5 years. That's why
Since they were here, we're going to have that.
All right. Okay, we'll go back to question. I'm recommending. I said, thank you. Brief one.
That's me. I have quite a few for you tonight.
Okay.
I'm calling in from the executive director of teacher development, so I think the teaching and learning team. So I'm here on a few of their behalfs. So the Bridgewater, we have two that are similar here. So the Bridgewater contract is to support professional development for our AP teachers in our high schools. So every 5 years, they're required to take part in the College Board training. If you look, as you saw in the information, many of our teachers that are brand new to teaching AP need the training, but also a large percentage of our teachers are in that span of time where it's time for them to review their training. So actually, this contract and the one right after it are both professional development, serving the same purpose for advanced placement teachers to be prepared to teach those courses, to meet that task further. This one specifically is in-person professional development in Massachusetts, which is why you see lodging as part of this one versus you don't see it on the other one because it's virtual. So those are really the two differences. They're all through training through the College Board.
Yeah. How many teachers approximately are expected to attain this training? Sure. That's a significant number, but that's not very clear.
Yeah. So each of these is around 6 to 7 teachers. There were other ones that were brought to you last month that account for another portion. So it's per company, which is why but it's 6 to 7 teachers per.
I have no further questions.
to 439,000. Page 37,000. It's 439, I think it's the 1.5 before.
Okay, I see the 6,500 on the first page, and I see 7 on the back page, so we can.
$500.
Yes. Okay, so that would be-
6,500. So I'm looking at 6,500 now or 7,000.
I believe it's the 6,500, but I want to confirm that.
Okay, you said what's the next one? Now we're gonna come in. Second, all in favor? Aye. And then, abstentions, and then, ayes have it. Thank you. So what's the next one, since you,
It's essentially the exact same thing, but it's virtual, online professional development.
that's why the budget is not.
Correct.
Contract, similar
Yeah.
type of training.
Exactly. And I'm wondering how many contracts the registrations at 7,500 or $6,000, how many?
Have to divide for you. I know that also, we're still in the communications to the schools, we've been asking schools to send us teachers who make sure everyone's included. They have to register on the college board website and then let us know which path they selected. So we're still finalizing some of those registrations, which is why you see on the cover page up to 6,000. So this would cover seven seats essentially.
Because I see that it's not even, I'm looking at 6,000 and 7,000.
Correct.
I know it's not even.
Correct.
It
So,
sounds like that's a very.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I can
All right.
That would be nice to have, you know, I would agree to have a little more breakdown, you know, on those budgets.
Yes. Thank you so much. Second that, all in favor? Next one is, one,
Ella or UCLA, everyone says it differently. I don't know which one's right.
is SN, Julian,
We'll go with UCLA, we'll do that, all right. So, this contract is for, it's to support literacy instruction in our schools K through 12. It's a digital platform that provides essentially a digital library that's accompanied by comprehension assessments. We're specifically looking at their bundles that address English language arts, social studies, science, in terms of their collections of text, in addition to professional development. And so as you can see in some of the descriptions, it has a very large body of text, which is helpful to our students in ensuring they have verification in their reading and the topics they're interested in reading about. It also provides the same articles at different website levels. So I, as a teacher, can plan a lesson using a text about a particular subject, and I can differentiate it for every kid in my class based on their reading level, which is a really good feature. The other piece that UCLA also offers is prearranged bundles that align with our other core curriculums, such as our civics courses, our high school science courses, and American Reading Company is based around themes, so they have prearranged bundles of text that support those themes.
Well, first, I guess with the 10,000 meeting selections, states invites our students to engage in deep text. What does that phrase mean with regards to the level of learning for those vast reading selections?
So what that means is that the texts are full, deep in terms of the content they're addressing, but also in terms of the rigor of the text in comparison to the grade level of the students. So we would want to ensure that a third grader has access to third grade level text. We want to ensure that a 10th grader has access to 10th grade level text, so that even though there's supplemental pieces, they're reinforcing what they're learning from instruction.
I have another question.
That part. Recommendation. So the next step on that, all in favor? Aye. Any abstention? Motion carries. Thank you so much. Moving to the next one, life science.
I'm actually like a K-12 science supervisor for the district. And I'm here today for Infant Science, which is a renewal for our second year for a contract for $450,000 that will include all of our KE materials, so digital teachers, licenses, physical classroom lab kits, and student consumables, as well as professional development to the company and company answer questions.
Again, I'm pleased that it's a blended study, hands-on, interactive literacy program. When you refer to a program as all green, exactly what does that mean? Is that more like environmentally aware, or is it a new program? Can you kind of go into a little more detail with that?
Yeah, so when the Rhode Island legislature put out that they wanted to have high quality curriculums across all of our subjects, being the legal requirement for school districts to meet, the commissioner of the state put out that one of the ways to categorize something as high quality was that it received a green rating on agriports.com. So agriports brings together education professionals that go through the vetting process, and then they meet and work together as a team, and then on a common rubric, they go through and assess. So for science specifically, the biggest struggle most of our curriculums have is trying to meet the next generation science standards. We're trying to move away from teaching just the facts about science and have students really focus on the science and engineering practices, as well as a lot of the cross-cutting concepts that exist between subjects. And a lot of our curriculums on the market right now don't do that. They just are focused on fact-based programs. And this is kind of what sets apart Amplify. So when we adopted this program last year, it was the only green product approved. Since then, there's been a couple more added, but we're really invested here, guys, invested in our teachers building their capacity and we're enjoying the program. So it seems to be logical to stay for a year.
And I did review that I did receive high marks on the reports. So I think that's excellent. And I have no further questions for that.
All right. So, now the next recommendation is possible. I said that, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Also, last minute.
So you're not looking again. It's our math supervisor. So these next three are be related to our math instruction. So SABIS, the contract that covers new edition textbooks and site licenses to support in our high schools our pre-calculus, AP pre-calculus statistics, and AP statistics across all high schools. And so we partnered with SABIS since 2000. Our AP pre-calculus is one course, one of the more AP courses that we're moving forward with. And so this contract is to ensure we have high-quality work materials.
Do we have any track record of this company?
Yes, so I can pull specifics for you about what other districts they work in. They worked with us since 2000 in our courses, and so it is based on feedback from teachers who want to ensure
have consistent products, they've asked for consistency, teachers have expressed satisfaction. They also offer alignment between the non-AP version of the course and the AP version of the course, so that at any time students could, if they're performing at a high level, we could push them into the AP. Yes. So it's a benefit in that sense too.
Yeah.
It's regarding to the distance or hybrid learning models as noted in the justification of vendor selection. Could you tell us how many, how many in each model will be utilized for this program?
Sure. So all of our classes currently are in person. The product is, they do have key textbook options across the board. So if students are on home instruction training, we have an ability to still provide them the curriculum. If we have a student who is in or encounters a situation where they need to be out of school for something, they can still access their curriculum. And so it offers those options, but across the board, we're in person classes. Yes, yes.
But the ability is there.
The ability is there, yes.
In regards to the proposed budget notes its 10% shipping charge. That's very high. Was that a way to negotiate that amount?
So their position is typically we estimated at about a 10% shipping, knowing that generally it comes in underneath that, but our finance office advises us to account for about 10% shipping. So we'll have official numbers on that on the quotes from the companies. We'll see that reflected in the full contract.
Motion to recommend. I second it. All in favor? Aye. Moving on, Bill,
Okay, so Kendall Hunt, so in our middle schools and high schools for core math courses, so algebra 1, geometry, algebra 2 courses, which are graduation requirement courses, we've used for several years now illustrative math. That is our math program. Illustrative math is offered with 3 different vendors. We currently partner with McGraw-Hill for that product. This is asking for a shift in the vendor. So same product, they're not changing the core curriculum, they're changing the vendor. The reason we're asking for the shift in the vendor is that the digital platform, which is called KIDM with this company, allows us to, it puts out more additional district resources in terms of translations in multiple languages, adaptive curriculum. So we, middle schools, we have some advanced pathways, so it offers those. And it's also adapted for some of our more restricted classrooms or restricted environments. This platform also offers all the assessments in Spanish, which is important because we have some good language, we have some bilingual. It also is going to have improved district and admin level reporting. So the KIDM platform section gives us a dashboard of data for all of the assessments. And so what this means is my team goes out and supports schools will be able to quickly look at the data in a way that you're more efficient with. For example, we just finished the Unit 5 assessment, and it will stack all the schools for us. We can quickly see how they're performing at a glance. We can dig in more granularly, but it does a much better job of allowing us to be more responsive and administrators of the sites to be more responsive when they're reviewing their data. Those were the major kind of factors in shifting the vendor. So the Spanish assessment availabilities and the stronger and more responsive data reporting section.
it won't be any inconsistency.
Exactly. So illustrative math is very particular about who they pre-approve to sell their product. So there's only 3 that are approved. So we're
manipulative kits, I calculated they cost about $385.99, and it covers 30 students approximately. How many kits are included with this contract?
So, the kits are gonna be based off of how many classrooms we have. So once we build out a full contract and get quotes on specific numbers about exactly from each school, how many classrooms, it will be one kit per classroom, and that's a one-time purchase, that won't have to be repurchased.
And some of the items that would be in these kits, could you describe a little more about those materials?
Yes, absolutely. So, they're very specific to the content in the high school math classes. So when we talk about algebra, geometry, algebra 2, they're going to have manipulatives that support students in conceptually understanding the math. So it gives them clear understanding when we do, like y equals 5x plus 2, like what does that really mean? Because it's a very abstract concept. So it's a kit that allows students to do that and also to engage in some of the world mathematics and really learn at a deeper level. Yeah.
Yeah, questions?
Neither do I. All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Mine.
Yes.
You again.
Last one, I promise. Thank you. So grade 9 is, we're shifting now to just elementary math, so kindergarten to 5th grade. We currently use Eureka as our product from grade 9s to teach core mathematics. Since the time of moving towards a fully centralized curriculum, grade 9s has produced an upgraded version of Eureka called Eureka Squared, which is what this contract is for. Eureka Squared provides it really provided a lot of new upgrades. Some of those being a lot of increased support for our multilingual learners. We have a large population of those students, so it's really important for our teachers to have resources around those. It focuses a lot on math discourse and real world context. So it's moving away from computation and just finding an answer to really understanding math. They've done a overhaul in the earlier grades in terms of the student-facing book and giving students space to problem solve, so it increases readability for those students. They've also started to think about the reading levels of our kindergartners and first graders and have adjusted the word problems to be appropriate for 5 and 6 year olds so that they can really engage in the math and practice reading even in mathematics. And they have also added a lot of interactive digital tools, including lesson slide decks and videos for students to engage with the curriculum in different ways, and also support our teachers in their delivery of the content. Yeah.
One question I have is regarding, I have a couple of questions about that. You answered a couple of them. Somebody asked this, but regarding the just-in-time, describe what that entails for targeting support activities, please?
Yes, absolutely. So there are 2 types of support that teachers can provide to students: just-in-case support and just-in-time support. And really, when we look at research about effective instruction in the math classroom, what it says is we need to offer just-in-time supports. And so what that means is I come in with, as a teacher, with really high expectations. I present you a problem and give you time to independently or in groups work through that problem and use your background knowledge to solve it. I'm circulating and observing your instruction and recording anecdotal notes about how each of my students are performing. And when, just in time, when I see a student needs support, I have the ability to step in and deliver support at that moment, rather than just in case. So sometimes in older research, we see that math instruction is given in a way that, just in case you're going to struggle with this, I'm going to go ahead and give everyone the support anyways to begin with, which decreases rigor and challenge in the classroom. And so this program not only is geared towards the effective practices and giving just-in-time support. It also provides teacher supports within the teacher editions to support them in building their capacity. Because it's more difficult to instruct that way. So the teacher edition has been built to support teachers.
Thank you. Have any further questions regarding this contract?
Yeah, we're super excited.
And especially when
Good reviews.
like I could see the review that you brought in, right, because and all that.
Yes, sir.
That's good. So we have a motion to recommend.
So moved.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much.
It's the educational collaborative.
Hi, James Scott, Director of Intergovernmental Affairs. I'm initiating for Sandra Stewart and for Julie Lombardi tonight. So, speaking to this contract, here we're seeking to award $28,495 to the ECB Educational Collaborative to train our behavior interventionists. The district identified a need on our coding to support behavior. It also supports our MTSS implementation in tiers 2 and 3, which is slated to be approved by policy committee on Tuesday. So they can kind of intersect, but when they were hiring, they noticed a gap. When 80 applicants, only 2 had the registered behavioral technician certification, which you need to do the job. So they want to contract with ECA Collaborative, which is a collaborative of all school districts on the East Bay, going like I don't know through like East Providence. And they're the only person offering, the only entity offering this training in the states. There's nobody else to get it. That's kind of the summary of it. The training would run from this July 1st to June 30th next year, so it'll be somewhat ongoing to make sure they're applying their skills as they go. And I sit here, I'll do my best to answer any questions you have.
Thank you.
I have no more questions, and I have been answered satisfactory.
Yes, sir.
Not really any other questions. I'm actually impressed with this contract myself.
Yeah. So it's fine. We have a motion to pass this.
So moved.
So, all in favor? Aye. Any abstentions? Then motion passed. I appreciate LLC.
Hi, last but not least.
Next.
So I'm here to present an amendment for our effective contract. We currently have this contract in place, and they provide video, in-person interpretation services in over 350 languages, as well as translation services of written documents for our district. What's really wonderful is that our district has had more training this year, and our usage is just almost double what it was last year. So more of our families are getting access to interpretation and translation services. And so what I had predicted we would be using, which was originally a $550,000 contract, I now have to amend in order to be able to meet the demand of the services that are being requested by schools. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Document translation services, will this feature translate entire documents or volumes of documents? Could you explain a little bit about that feature?
Yeah, so this is not like an automated translation. It's actually, they provide linguists and people who are all over the world, who we send through a secure portal, like the documents that need to be translated. And because they have people all over the world, they can provide it in many different languages, and we can get it back within the time that we request them through this secure portal.
Will the documents be preserved in their original formats?
Yes, that is something that we definitely ask for, that the format is exactly the same, so they're able to, work with whatever documents we send them, PDFs, Google, Word.
Thank you.
And this is a man DOJ.
Yes, it's actually one of the requirements of our DOJ agreement, and it's in line with our policy, which was just passed up this past school year, just to make sure that all of our families have access to information in a language that they can understand.
Do we have a recommendation?
So moved.
Motion to pass it. Second. All in favor? Aye. And abstentions? abstentions, any opposition, the ayes have it. So come to the end. We have the presentation.
Do we, put it up on the? While we're getting ready, we do some introductions, so Jack Stockman, the Deputy Superintendent of Operations.
Cheryl Freight, but
And y'all know Chris Patisi, so as Executive Director of Finance, you can have your,
Which one do you want first?
do the, presentation. If you remember, the presentation. All right. Okay, so, go to the, kind of the framing slide, slide two. We were with the board last month, to talk about overall FY 2024. And we shared high level kind of budget planning, both revenue and expense projections, and some updates on tweaks. What we'll do in May, both at this meeting and board meeting, is to talk to the different ordinances. And tonight we'll really focus on the appropriation ordinance, which is kind of our spending plan for the year. But at the board, we'll have two additional ordinances that we'll review with the full board, which are the compensation and classification ordinances. And we'll talk about what each of those are shortly. In June, we'll transition to go, once our amendment to our SO plan is approved, we'll come back and do that deeper to that, to the so if you go to slide, three. Yep, the presentation will be pretty short, and then we have the ordinance to review. So if you look at the overview of the ordinances are, be familiar with this, but for new members of the board, we typically historically present three ordinances as part of our budget: the appropriation, the compensation, and classification. And the appropriation is what we'll spend most of our time on tonight. So the appropriation is that describes our funding by category, and it is organized by the Uniform Charter Accounts, COA codes. That is something that is consistent across the state of Rhode Island. So where you see some of the labels maybe aren't as transparent and clear, we don't have a lot of discretion when they are looking to answer questions about the expenses that I have. The appropriation ordinance focuses on local funds, which is our state and city. And so that is what's covered in the appropriation ordinance. The compensation ordinance identifies all the positions and salary ranges for FY 24, and it assumes all contractually agreed upon salary increases. It notes positions that are added or removed from the previous fiscal year, as well as their transfers. And then the last one is the classification, which identifies department by department, school by school, the number of FTEs by different employee groups, and also gives some information on the difference between local and non-local sources. So we'll review the appropriation today, and then review all three at the school board next week. We also plan prior to next school board to share our full budget book, which is, combines, it's kind of, the ordinances are the main, the star of the show, but it has some narrative around our budget, similar to what we did last week, as well as some historical data on spending over time, just for original context. So to give a summary of our appropriation ordinance, and then we posted the ordinance itself, but I'll hand out them here as well. What you have here is not just the ordinance, but also it gives you a little bit of historical budget to budget, so our current FY23 budget compared to our projected FY24. It's organized again by UCOA codes, and those UCOA codes roll up to 6 major categories. So let me walk through. The first two are salaries and benefits, those first two categories, and as we mentioned, that is the biggest portion of our spending as a district, roughly 75%. And what we note is that for this coming year, we do see a decline on the salary line of roughly $7 million. And that's based on reductions we made in FTEs, in line with enrollment declines, as well as scheduling changes at benefits. We are seeing kind of it nets out to zero, but we are seeing some pretty significant increases in employee medical. Over the past few years, we've seen that hovering less than 2%, which is pretty low. But this year it runs north of 5 or 6%. So that is as you talk to the folks in the city about do those projections, Mercer, some of that has to do with some lagging medical care that people are starting to pick up, which is translated to care medical expenses. At the same time, we've seen some declines in retiree medical and state retirement, and that's the benefits out to zero. Services, a couple of things that have driven that up. The first is increases in tuition expenses. So twofold. The first is special education and district placement. So when we have a student who's leaving from the district, we would identify an out-of-district placement payment portion of it. We also, as the LEA, are required to pay tuition for charter school students, meaning the city aid that comes in to cover all of Providence students passes through us to charter school students. So that is another portion of that as well. And then outside of tuition expenses, the third one is our contracts, like custodial, and actually give a little bit about that next, but custodial transportation projected to increase as they typically do along the lines of the consumer pricing things. You'll then see supplies, capital, and utilities. Those are relatively low in the grand scheme of things. Supplies, there's a small increase in curricular purchases. We saw schools with student-based budget making a bit more shifting funds around, a bit more to purchase more curricular materials. Capital, not to be confused with like building stuff, it is more capital goods like equipment, computer and technology, and things like that. So there's some minor increase based on some school choices there. Utilities, in the grand scheme of things, not large, but proportionally a decent jump from last year, and that is what we're seeing in terms of electricity increases that you may have experienced kind of as a homeowner yourself, as well as natural gas. And so we are currently working on a state purchasing agreement for natural gas that we are trying to join with to lower our natural gas costs. So overall, when you net all those out, the biggest driver being salary decreases, we have a roughly $1 to $2 million decrease in proposed expenses for next year. And that is in line with, as we see enrollment declining, we are trying to match our expenses so let me walk through the next few slides, but then we can spend time coming back to this as well as questions on individual lines. So again, the two things that we always at this point of the year are really watching closely are revenue figures. So state aid, we feel fairly confident in that, although in all cases it needs to be voted and approved by the General Assembly. So that is subject to change through the end of the end of fiscal year. But we believe that the state aid numbers are fairly solid. City revenue continues to be an ongoing conversation with the city of Providence. We know with that is we entered into those conversations with the administration, optimistic for a good outcome, but that obviously has a pretty good impact on revenue in this. To talk through a little bit about the next, like where we've been, where we go next in terms of our budget, on slide 7. Garrett, you remind me just a little bit about that. So we'll be back with the board, the full board, to talk through the ordinances, both the one we shared tonight and then future ordinances. And we plan to have our budget book out at the same time. In June, we'll have our consolidated resource plans and then the Rhode Island Department of Education. The CRP is what includes our Title I funds and non-renewable dollars. And the final budget will be approved by the commissioner in July. So maybe if you go back and leave it on slide 5 for a little bit, we also can go through the ordinances, the ordinance that we shared that you have. So you tell me what would be most helpful. We can, if you have questions, we can jump into those. I can also kind of walk through the ordinance in greater detail in addition to what's up here. Or opening up the ordinance, I'll give you just a quick overview of that you see through it. Again, it's organized into the same buckets I mentioned. You see the first 4 lines are for salaries. The next ones are for services. And what you'll see from left to right on the far left is the current FY23 budget. The next column is the proposed budget for FY24. You'll then see the increase or decrease in the third column, and then the percent change. So, yeah, please go ahead.
Question regarding the benefits section.
Yes.
In terms of the employee medical, jumping up over 6%, over $2 million. You mentioned because of the pandemic, needs related to services that were deferred, and now rates have increased. And how is your medical plans? How are they split between the district and the employee in terms of coverage?
Yeah, I'll do my best.
Roundabout.
Yeah, so the way the city provides the insurance that we're part of, we negotiate specific terms with different employee groups. Typically, we have around a 20% per share in terms of what the employees pay, but is negotiated on a contract for different unions. So the way there's kind of we all contribute to the city's medical fund. And so they give us the projections in terms of what they're expecting for necessary contributions. And then obviously that changes as actual claims come in, of course. So when we saw the number, and again, the percentage increases we've seen over the past few years have been less than 2% each year. So this was very high. And so we met with Mercer, who is the city's benefits consultant, and just published it. And the number of the projected number of employees wasn't the main driver. It wasn't that we were having a lot of employees were just stable, decent.
Next educational service.
Yeah, so that is that's contract payments to vendors who are providing education service. I'm giving an example. One is like the Nonviolence Institute. I think one of the contracts that was here was one done by it was either JSEC or Hopkins with the Nonviolence Institute. So they're a vendor that comes in and provides supports and services to students.
So why is that 0% change? If we have 0, and we move from 0 to 22,000.
Yeah, that is a good call. That should be, I don't know if it's because it went, that it didn't looks like 2 lines up into this, it's the same issue where when it started at 0, it must not have gone. Did that as infinite. So we'll do that. Okay. Yeah, yeah. So it's-
And that's with the tuition structure,
Yeah,
with the increasing over 12%, 12.75%.
yeah.
With the decreasing enrollment, how is that after the increase?
Yeah, absolutely. So the tuition lines are always a little funny, so let's dive into a little more closely. So there are 3 lines on the second page, starting with that 55610 tuition to other school districts. That one is specific to the Met and Davies. Those are schools that are not necessarily charter schools, but they're state run that we have students in Providence going to. So that's that first line. The second line, tuition, is typically tuition for out-of-district placements. So for special students with special needs for enhanced service within district, and then tuition to charter schools, and that's the amount that, when a student enrolls in a charter school, the state aid comes directly from the state, but the city aid portion flows through the district. So we essentially, this is a pass through from us, from the city, through us to the charter school. So the question you have about increases here. So one of the things we've seen is, there's a slight increase in Met and Davies through some increases in enrollment next year. The tuition for special education out of district placements is just one we've seen go up significantly over the past few years, and one that we've heard from peers and other districts is for 2 reasons. The first is just more severe needs being identified through the pandemic and more students being identified as having special needs, but also a shortage of teachers that are adequately prepared to support them. And so that has meant more out of district placement, which this is something we are going to take a hard look at because we need to figure out a way to make sure, obviously, we want to do whatever, focus on making sure students are getting the services they need, but we want to make sure that we can do those in-house to the extent possible. So, because it is expensive to run these out of district programs. Thank you. We'll be back in the full board talk through this and the ordinances. So if you guys are reviewing it between now and then, if you have any questions, don't ask. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have present.
Community Southfield. I'm a chief operating officer at PSD, and I'm joined by my colleague Brian on the system.
You know, Brian Lemay, Director of Facilities and Capital Planning.
So our goals for this evening is mostly to share information with this group. So we'll go over a third-party assessment, current facility management contract that was previously approved by the board, and then share like the request for proposal timeline, where we are in that process, highlight some key differences that we have seen between the current contract and the prospective contract, and then share with you some, upcoming milestones, and then open it up for questions. We also are prepared to share this with the broader school board next week as well. But I wanted to just make sure that the finance committee kind of some preliminary eyes on it and share any potential questions. Some common themes or acronyms that you might see in the presentation are the APA, which stands for Association of Physical Plant Administrators, PRP, which is our consultant that is helping us go through this process, Performance Resource Partners, and IFM, which is the Integrated Facilities Management. So I'll start by sharing a little bit about the assessment. PPSD hired Performance Resource Partners back in November of 2022 to help us and conduct a full assessment of our current service provider contract that deals with all of the custodians and facilities management in general at the district. This process included, visiting 25 different schools to evaluate current service levels and current APA levels or APA standards. Interviewing districts similar to Providence in terms of size and learning the best practices on how other districts handle their facilities maintenance management. These included like Worcester, Cranston, Philadelphia, who are very similar in terms of size. Interviewing a lot of district facility staff, including school-based as well. And a thorough review of the previous facilities maintenance solicitations that have been done throughout the time. That included contracts and financials with our current service provider and subcontractors as well. Brian, I don't know if you want to jump in and share anything else. So I'll let Brian kind of go over some of the findings and the recommendations based on what we learned from that assessment process.
The biggest one that stood out of all the information that we obtained back to when we had this here, that most peer organizations are achieving higher standards of cleanliness and maintenance for roughly equivalent expenditures. So the we're trying to set the bar for PTSD, and we're not getting value for the money that we're paying for. This is verified through the work from the consultant. The conditions observed were highly variable. These are based on the 25 schools that were visited by PRP. They came physically assessed schools, and they were strikingly variable on their active levels. Some were showcase facilities, and others look like they were uncared for. The variety of the schools that were chosen for the walkthroughs was varying scale of elementary, middle, and high schools. So we tried to group like schools together so that this way they didn't have to visit every facility. So our recommendation is that most facility goods and service vendors be retained and managed under fair control of the IFM service provider. What this does is it bundles our services that are currently and puts it all under one umbrella rather than running parallel services with the school department. District priorities have changed. We have a better equipped, knowledgeable staff providing adequate funding for proactive planning. This is something that hasn't been done in a long time. So we're kind of resetting the bar of where we want to go and getting from the backseat into the driver's seat.
So some key differences between our current contract and prospective contract. The APA is, as I shared, is defined is a defined range of tasks and their frequency to include maintenance, cleanliness, and grounds operations. Right. So level 1 is orderly, and so you'll see the levels listed here as to what they mean. But the district is raising, as Brian said, our standard from APA 3 to APA 2, which is a more rigorous standard for the quality and the cleanliness of our schools. So upon inspection, many of the schools fluctuated between APA 2 and APA 3. That was the variation that Brian was talking about. And really transitioning from level 2 and level 4. Oh, sorry, Apple 2 and Apple 4. And then transition from a task-based to a performance-based contract, right? Because it's not about the number of times, it's about how clean it is. And so rather, than the restroom be clean number of times per day, the performance-based would require a clean restroom at all times. And that's sort of an example what that means. And then moving from a facilities maintenance contract to an integrated facilities management contract, which is what Ryan was describing. The key thing here is that the integration of subcontractors, so like example, snow removal, trash removal, et cetera, into the contract rather than being under our control, the district is currently running parallel for that facility services provider. Having a new contract in place facilities oversight, which in turns improves both customer service and responsiveness at our schools. So in terms of the timeline, as we said, we engaged with our consultant, PRP, back in November of 2022. They did 25 school visits throughout the district, and that ranged from middle, elementary, and high. We released a request for proposal for an IFM in April 4th, 2023. We had a mandatory virtual pre-bid conference for anyone that was interested in having that information on April 6th. And then we had mandatory in-person site visits that were held on April 10th. So we had all folks who were interested in reviewing that and seeing our facilities come as a mandatory. And then in addition to that, we provided optional in-person site visits that were held from April 11th through the 13th. And Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, that means they got to see every facility?
Yes, the way that we did was the mandatory day, we tried to have the array, so we had, a better kept elementary school is one that needed, more care, a better kept middle school is one that needed more care, a better kept high school is one that needed more care. So we tried to have the array, so this way that during that mandatory day, you get to see the full spectrum from the aptitude to the aptitude. So this is what we wanted to try and show them. Over the course of a 4-day period, we did plus 4, so everyone went as a group, so everyone saw the same thing through the same lens, and they covered every PTSD facility throughout the 4 days.
So vendors submitted questions on April 18th. Proposal from vendors were received in May 4th, which was last week. And then we're here today, which is more of an informational meeting with the finance committee. And then our goal is to have a recommendation to award around June with a potential start of August 1. And that is flexible and still, being determined as we move through the rest of that process. So again, upcoming milestones, district and PRP will review the bids that came in and score them according to the requirements outlined in the RFP. The district reviews and makes recommendations to leadership at PTSD, RIDE, and the city. We will bring those recommendations to the finance committee in June for another review, and the district presents to the full school board in July for a contract start date of August 1st. And I think that brings us to any questions.
Yes, great presentation. How many levels the outcome?
There are 4 levels.
One.
I know.
So are the levels lower to higher being
Lower is
lower is better?
Lower is better. Higher is
You want to go back to that?
yeah. Seven houses. So split screen.
So, 4 is over.
4 is the least. Oh yeah, there's 5 levels. Sorry.
And so level 1 would be more like hospital grade. So, That's an ordinary, spot on this, I don't know. Doesn't look the same, yeah, nice. Level 2, ordinary, tardiness, so this is the level that we're trying to achieve. The level 3 is casual inattention. This is the current level that the school department has. This is the level that has fluctuated upon inspection, where some schools are better maintained than other schools. Level 4, which was cited at many of the schools that were upon inspection, were with moderate tardiness. Level 5, undetected. So there's a big degree in separation between these apple levels, and we had such an array upon inspection that we went from one extreme to another extreme, and we children could be 3 minutes down the road from each other.
You say that the integration of the stone, trash removal, does that mean this new vendor will be handling those components as well?
Yes, what it does is it puts all the resources under one umbrella, so we have one person that's controlling the decision making. So if the dumpster is not picked up, facilities currently handles the phone calls and legwork to have the dumpsters filled up. But currently, the custodians are the ones that are filling the dumpsters. They are the ones that are where they're at the school on the ground. They are the ones that could make the call, hey, the dumpster's filled. If that phone call does not get sent to facilities, we are not aware because we're not on site. So that phone call could be handled in-house and could be responded to in a faster manner if they have direct access to the vendor. In these cases, they do not have direct access to the vendor. Same with pest control. We are making the phone calls for pest control, but currently the custodian is the one that is entering, meeting the pest person into the business. The custodian is involved cleaning up with any mess, removing any supplies that are out of the way. But the legwork having to deal with phone calls. So if you have one person, you can control all aspects of it rather than 2 people running parallel to have the same task. It's just, better use of time and resources to put the district in place of oversight. We can make sure that that work has taken place rather than running parallel with phone calls for the same task.
I know this is just an informational session. Don't you think it would be okay if you were able to tell us there are 25 schools were visited, or you just merge their result between 2 and 4? Don't you think it's a bit more informational or be more educational if you know 10 schools are in 2, 11 schools were in 3, 5 schools were in 4? That will let us know the level of practice or more work we need to do. I would think information like that would be more helpful, since you're able to tell us the number of schools visited, but also you're able to tell us, okay, these schools are at 2, these are at 4, and you have that information. I assume
That's great feedback, and that's something we can make, adjust when we bring it to the school.
Okay, and you have that.
this. I think it would be helpful.
We'll break it down.
I have a lot of questions. It's a great presentation. Moving in the right direction.
Yes, that's what I was able to say, that this is important.
Yes.
So thank you so much. Any other questions? Motion to adjourn?
It's time. Yes, I'm
So moved.
okay.
I second that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for your efforts. Tony, congratulations on the state board.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes. A lot of fun.
That's cool. Tim Duffy's a good guy. I know him pretty well.
It's Good night.
See you next week.
See you next week.